Hi everyone, and welcome to the Fun Friday series or the Funny Friday series of um, the MS Life with Naren. This is Naren over here. So this is my first Friday vlog, and here I just wanted to talk about funny things that have happened. Now, being someone with MS, one of the funniest things that does happen is, when I'm relatively sober, I tend to look like, I'm inebriated, and when inebriated, I look a lot more sober. So, definitely, it is one of those medical conditions where, the opposite ends up holding true. But, and of course, saying this, I don't, I would never force or tell people to consume alcohol or any other mind altering substances, so do so at your own risk. But for this session, for episode 1 of Funny Friday, I did want to use another story that now that I look at it in hindsight, was a very funny experience that happened with me. And this happened when I was still fairly active as a person. I was 2 or 3 years into my medical condition, and when you have such experiences, definitely do remember them or do document them, because later on in life, you will find them very funny. So I do hope that if you do have stories like this to share, you can definitely share them. So with this story, this actually took place in Honduras. So what ended up happening was, uh, I would volunteer with a certain volunteering organization during college, where at least in Honduras, what we were doing was we were building a pipeline from a river to a community that existed. Now it has been, I think, close to 14 years since that happened, so I'm a little I don't remember which community it was in Honduras, but the one thing I do know is that the the area, the place where we were pretty much constructing pretty much the trenches where we would put the pipes, was in a relatively, I'd say, hilly area. So what ended up happening was, we had to climb at least hills, for that matter, anywhere between 10 to 30 feet, um, for anyone using the metric system. That's like about 3 to 10 meters from whatever the road was, to get to the place where we would either dig trenches, lay pipes, glue pipes, and pretty much build this pipeline from the water source all the way down to the community. And one of the funny things that ended up happening with this one volunteering experience was, during that time I had actually bought Skechers shape ups. Now, if no one knows what that is like, so shape ups had a very, almost a crescent moon like sole. So the whole time when I would wear them, even in college, I remember rocking back and forth, just because I could not balance at any point in time. So you can imagine going up and down hills, pretty much hiking, um, with those things. And I remember the first day itself when we were just exploring the community, exploring the water source. We had the option to actually get down to the river. Now, getting down to the river meant, the road was slightly higher up than where the river was, and there was about a 10-foot um, walk down, and it just so happened the decline was anywhere between 10 to 30 degrees. So going down from the road to the river, to the side of the river. And I just remember I was you know just pretty much on the road, just going back and forth, and taking one step or maybe two steps, realizing that these shoes had no traction at all, and then pretty much sliding down my way, and then having had people, pretty much firemen, lift me all the way back up, um, to to the road, so that I could at least, I had some stable ground to be able to at least walk around a little bit, or whatever I was able to do in those shoes. So that when I think about it right now, it is very funny, and I do remember having been being carried up pretty much the entire week that I was in Honduras, um, volunteering for this. And just remember people just carrying me up, pretty much making sure. And because I was in that state, I had to keep my bag on me at all times, which means that I had other things, work gloves, bottles of water. And so I pretty much carried everyone's bottles up to certain levels, and just kept them just kept wearing my backpack the entire day, just so I didn't have to um, constantly take it out, leave it somewhere where someone else would have to fetch it for me. So that was a big learning, considering that I continued volunteering for the next 5 years or 6 years. That was one thing, that keeping good sensible shoes, especially shoes that have a lot of traction and the ability for you to climb to places, hike to places, is very, very important, especially when you have a disease like multiple sclerosis, regardless of how you know what your walking or hiking ability might be and how far you are into your disease. So hopefully you take a little bit of learning from my experience, and definitely do share experiences like that if you have your own, so that we can definitely have you know fun conversations about the kinds of mishaps that have happened due to unwise decisions that you've made in the past. So thank you so much, and you have a great rest of the day.